everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Carrie. I'm Carrie Lazat, and I'm here today with our Director of IT, Wil Babinchak. Why do I always have Babinchak? Why do I always have trouble with that?
It can be tough. It's phonetic, though. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Wil. So we are here today to talk to our residents about Metronet. So tell us, what is Metronet? This is exciting news, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it will be. So let's get started just with who they are. So Metronet is they're a fiber internet provider. So basically, they're similar to any other internet provider that may come in, like a Comcast or some people may have it over wireless, but their end goal is to provide additional high-speed internet access to residents and businesses in the township.
And can you maybe explain in ways that anyone might understand what the difference is between cable and fiber?
So basically, when you have a cable, cable is able to provide very good download speeds. But typically your upload speeds are just a portion of that total download. So you may have, let's say if you have 500 or a gig, you may be able to upload like 20% of that speed. With fiber, it's symmetrical. So if you are getting a gig down, you can upload a gig at the gig speeds are up and down. So it's symmetrical both ways.
So I don't know if that is explaining it so that people actually understand. But so cable is an actual cable, like a wire, right? It looks like a cable. And then fiber looks similar, but it does more at a faster speed.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
So your cable, the difference would be, so when you see that traditional cable that you get in your house that you kind of screw in the back of your TV or screw into a modem.
Now we understand.
Okay, there we go. This will just be, it's actually a glass cable that's in a cover. And then it just plugs in just like a regular computer cable would be. You'll still have a modem or some device in your house to be able to plug into.
And so is Comcast also doing fiber now, or they're still just doing cable?
So I don't want to speak to them totally on the resident side, but my belief is they're still doing just the cable or the coaxial to the residents. They are definitely doing fiber. We're a Comcast customer fiber to the township. They definitely provide enterprise class service, and from small business all the way up to enterprise. They do fiber across the board too.
Okay, and there's the physical, what's getting put in the ground and what's put it in the right of way, and then as far as my industry and defining cable and video services and fiber, it's I want to say complicated because people we get franchise and cable fees for people paying for cable, but not for fiber.
Correct.
So that's where it's different in my business. But what we really want to do is help set expectations for what's going to happen in the township in the next coming months, probably 6 months, while all of this installation is taking place.
Correct. So just to give a summary of the process, so to lay fiber, they either can be aerial over existing cell phone poles, existing wires, just traditional, like I said, aerial poles. Most of the township is actually underground utilities or underground cable, underground phone lines. So what they need to do is bore new fiber into the ground. So in the right of way, they'll be putting in conduit and then pulling cable through that conduit. I believe they said they wanted to do approximately 7,000 passes. And currently they're estimating about 750,000 feet. So it's quite a bit. So it will touch most of the township. In order to do that, they do need to work in all the right-of-ways, whether it be telegraph, whether it be your neighborhood street, whether it be Long Lake. There's going to be several places where they will be.
And I think for residents, your right-of-way sometimes feels like it's yours, and you are responsible for it, like you were saying, cutting the lawn of your right-of-way. But the companies have permits and able to them to dig, which they're going to be digging up.
They'll be digging and boring.
And driveways. And so they are responsible for returning things back to, they're responsible for fixing it, but maybe not exactly the way that it is set up, because people can hire individual landscaping companies to take care of their landscaping, but that's not where if they have to fix it, it may not be to the standards that some of our residents have.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the homes around here, many of them are just beautiful homes, great landscapes. And they're going to try to get, I would imagine they're going to try to to satisfy their residents. They, we may have residents that has specific type of grass. Let's just say you have Kentucky bluegrass, for example. They may not put down Kentucky bluegrass to replace that. If that's important to you, then we want to let them know. I would let them know, hey, you do the leveling off, I'll come back with the grass, that type of thing. But you said driveways, no, they're not, as far as I know, there shouldn't be anything like tear-ups. So there could be, while they're boring under driveways, there's, I could say that maybe one would have a crack in it, or they'll have to pull what's called a plug out of it, so where they look for their utilities through that driveway. They are responsible for doing any and all repairs when it comes to that.
So they're going to fix it, but maybe not
Well,
to what people might hope for.
Well, I would imagine they want to satisfy everybody they can,
Right.
and we'll get to later. They do have a special website and a phone number you can call.
Oh, we can put that up now. So if people have questions about where they can direct those questions, is not to the cable department or to the IT department.
Right.
It's actually to Metronet, so that they can answer questions related to construction.
Yeah, there's a website. It's metronet.com/construction. And you can also call 877-407-3224.
Okay. Thanks. And we can put that up again. And I also want to mention, so this construction is going on not just in Bloomfield Township, but in all of our BCTV communities, Franklin, Bingham Farms, Beverly Hills, Birmingham, and Bloomfield Hills. So they're making a really big investment of $70 million of private capital throughout all of this Oakland County and West Bloomfield Township, Commerce Township, Waterford, Independence Charter. So everybody's getting this fiber.
Yeah, in this area, they're actually they have existing projects going on in Kalamazoo, Meridian. I think it's East Lansing. I believe maybe into Grand Rapids. So there's quite a few communities that they're currently working with that they've actually already started on. They did want to make Bloomfield their number one place to go in this project, so they were hoping to start us first. Kind of again, we should probably recap the way that works as well.
Sure.
It's Metronet's responsibility when we talk about right-of-ways. Some right-of-ways are ours. Some right-of-ways are the Oakland County Road Commission, or some may be the Michigan Department of Transportation. So they have to put out permits to RCOC or MDOT. Once those permits get accepted or approved, then they apply for a permit to the township right-of-ways. And they'll do this across all the townships and cities. And then at that point, if their submission basically matches what they were going to do, or the plans satisfy our requirements, we're basically kind of required to permit that. And there may be some things that it's a big project. There's going to be multiple construction crews in different areas depending when and where the permits get approved. But it is the township's responsibility to approve those permits. They can't really pick winners and losers in the communication world. So,
and you've been talking to these people for over a year now, right? As anticipating this project happening, preparing for it to come in. And I know I've been in touch with some people recently, so they are ready for our questions. Yeah,
they've been. So they came in, I would say it was about a year ago when they first made contact. So they've been really, really good about just, hey, this is what we're doing. Here's everywhere we're going. Here's where we're going to place all our equipment, how the process works. So they've been very forthcoming and very easy to work with when it comes to that. So, which is nice, can be refreshing. Some people that work in the right of way, we don't get notice. I think we spoke earlier today. We have somebody working in our right of way in the township. We issued the permit, but that was a couple months ago. And they didn't necessarily tell us when we're going to show up. The one thing that Metronet did say that they would do is, I believe it's 60 days before they come to your area, there will be a mailer that comes to to each household. And then before that, I can't give the exact time. There's signage being put in the right of way when that boring is going to occur, some contact information, possibly door hangers as well. So they've been pretty forward about trying to get that communication and let everybody know.
And they want to have residents mark things that are on their property as well, so that they don't hit them, right? So I think that was one of the requests that they're going to start communicating on, as far as putting that in the letter that will be arriving at homes, that if they have any underground sprinkler systems or anything else that they could hit, they need to mark it in some way.
Right. So the township and Metronet will come through and mark our known utilities, but obviously, like you mentioned, sprinkler systems, underground electric fences for dogs. You could have sub pump piping coming through that we're unaware of. The more that's marked to let them know before they get there, the less the chances that they'll do damage to that stuff. But it's not guaranteed if it's not marked. They could run through it. But again, if that boring equipment was to break one of your sprinkler pipes, they will still come back and repair that. It is their responsibility to repair.
Okay. So this is just the beginning of our communication. Supervisor McCready talked about it in his summary for last month, and we're going to continue to hear from them. They'll be at our trustee meeting in early June. Metronet will be there.
Yep.
We'll continue to talk about it. There'll be lots of social media posts, and I guess the question is, when do you think it'll end? I think this construction starts.
It's a bit of a loaded question. I don't know I know they would like to be done within about 6 months, but that's a question that in IT I couldn't tell you when those permits. I mean, those permits.
Sure.
They told us a month or 45 days ago those permits went into Oakland County, into MDOT. We don't have status of those permits, so it just really depends how long the permitting process takes. And again, once that permitting happens, we need to go and locate all those utilities. So there's a lot of factors involved with that. But at the same time, I know that they're also not wanting to do certain work in certain weather. So if we have
just like any other construction, right?
Yeah,
so there's
kinda.
an estimate. Okay.
Yeah. So they're around 6 months.
Hopefully it'll be wrapped up in 6 months. And I will say that they do pay to operate in the rights of way, but they pay 5 cents a foot, which is it's not like apples to apples as far as how we are funded for PEG and franchise fees, but I did talk about it in my annual report, and I'm sure there'll be continued discussion related to that.
Yeah, as there should be. I mean, there's going to be more and more of these types of projects coming in.
It's the future.
That's competing with cable, and we have wireless internet access. There's just a lot of different options now that didn't exist when some of these laws went into place.
Right. Any final thoughts for today?
I just, like I said, I think it's pretty exciting for the residents. When we had fiber brought into my community, it was something I switched to. Very reliable. The speeds are great, and prices are good. So it should bring, I'm a big believer that competition is good.
Competition is good, yeah.
So when we get more competition, it should benefit all the residents.
Great. Well, if you have any other questions, you can always email or call us here at the cable station, and we're happy to direct you to someone that might know the actual answer. And we'll continue to communicate on this issue in the future. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.